So Katrina here. I just wanted to take a minute to make a video of my own personal fitness journey. I know a lot of new people have added me on Facebook, which thank you guys. I'm very grateful for it. But I also want those who are on my Facebook to kind of have a better feel and understanding for where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to do. So, I'm not really good at these things, guys. This actually makes me really nervous to be posting this. So I'm going a little bit out of my comfort zone on this, and hopefully it works out for the best. So anyways, getting started on my journey. Basically, growing up, I had this innate confidence. I was so sassy as a kid, but I was also a perfectionist, and I was extremely hard on myself. My perfectionism eventually became insecurity. And after a rough childhood and going through a lot of things, when I was 17, that little doubt and insecurity and little voice in my head finally began to eat away at me. And slowly between 16 and 17, I became anorexic and extremely sick. At my lowest point, I was about 60 pounds, and I was just not doing too hot. This is really hard to talk about. But even though I have such an amazing family, an amazing support system, I had hit an all-time low, a complete and utter depression that was literally killing me. It wasn't until one day one of my little brothers, who's 10 years younger than me, he was about 7 at the time, held my hand and asked me if I was going to die because he didn't want me to. At that moment, I realized that I'm not only hurting myself, but my own insecurities, my own self-doubt, all of that was actually really hurting my family. And so from that point on, I didn't want to do that to my brothers and sisters anymore. I didn't want to be that kind of person. I wanted to be a shining light in their lives, something of positivity. I never wanted them to get into that rut that I was in. So I fought my ass off, the hardest fight of my entire life. Between 17 to 18, I went to therapy. Not going to lie, I will admit it. So I went to therapy, and that was the most eye-opening moment in my entire life. To have somebody sit there, look you straight in the eye, and tell you everything you ever thought about that nobody else was willing to tell you, I couldn't be more grateful for that person. So by the time I was 18, I fully recovered. I went from 60 pounds to 115 pounds, super healthy. And then after that, my fitness journey kind of started to take off. I found a new love for myself, a new love for my body, and a new appreciation for the world. Then I started teaching dance, which was amazing. And then slowly but surely, I got into weight training, and I got into the gym, and that's what became my new passion. Well, it had always been my passion, but that's when I knew for sure it was my passion. So in 2012, I decided to start competing. It was December of 2011. So probably December 1st, I started dieting. And my first show was actually January 26th. It was the Ironman show that I took 5th in. And from there, I was completely hooked. So fast forward a couple months later, though, that little insecurity, the little voice in the back of my head came back again. Of course it did it. As glamorous as you guys think competing in the shows is and everything, there's a really dark side to it. And it's not really something anybody sees, but it's more of what every competitor begins to feel at some point. I would say almost every single person goes through it where you start to doubt yourself. And it's usually at the beginning of your career, but at some point you doubt yourself and you start to get an insecurity that you're not good enough because let's face it, fitness competitions are about aesthetics. It's not about skill or anything else. It's about how you look on stage in those 10 seconds. And that can be really devastating to your self-confidence. So while all of my Facebook followers were liking all my pictures and telling me how great I looked and I was doing so good, I was sitting there battling my own little struggle of not being good enough, not liking the way I looked anymore, losing too much weight again, becoming obsessive about counting the calories. It just became a sickness all over again. I was hooked on competition. It was a different sickness, but it was a sickness no less. So at my last show in 2012, the one where I won overall, the Orange County Muscle Classic, I was only 93 pounds on stage, guys. Yeah, it's little. I'm 5'2", 93 pounds, and I was sick as hell and unhappy. So unhappy. You guys see a picture of me holding a sword, smiling, and you're like, wow, that girl has it all. I didn't feel like that. Not at all. In fact, a few months later, I had decided that it was time for me to do something more with my life. And I decided to have a baby. And in order to do that, I had to gain back quite a bit of weight. I had to stop working out completely, and I ended up having to gain back 30 pounds. But in the meantime, on that journey, Iron Man magazine had wanted me to shoot for their swimsuit edition. And the sad thing is, even though I looked amazing, I felt like I wasn't good enough on the inside. Like I wasn't good enough for that shoot. So I made up some stupid excuse, and I didn't do the shoot. And it's probably one of my biggest regrets. But after that, I continued on my journey, and I kept gaining the weight, hoping to have a baby, which was the best thing I ever did. Giving up my body for somebody else and for something so much bigger just shook me to my core. It changed me as a person. Eventually, in February, I got pregnant, and 9 months later, I had my baby girl, Lila, who honestly has softened me so much as a person. I couldn't be more grateful. Before I had her, I was super sarcastic. Well, I'm still sarcastic, but I just had a harder, harsher look on the world that I don't have as much anymore. And I'm just very grateful to her for that. And so after I had Lila, I just continued to do my fitness thing, except I loved my body so much more. I was like, man, this body just created a baby. That's awesome. So even though I wanted to lose weight and get in shape, I just had a whole new love for my body and a whole new love for myself. This little girl gave me so much life and love. Anyways, though, so 7 months after I had Lila, I did another show. And I put that pressure on myself all over again. I lost weight. I know I didn't lose as much weight as I should have for that show, and I wasn't ready for it. And I absolutely hated the pictures afterwards. And I felt so guilty to hate how I looked after getting on stage in a bikini after I just had my baby girl. And I hated that I was portraying this horrible self-image for her, even if she was only 7 months. Even if she couldn't understand at all, I hated the fact that I did that to her. Because I fully believe that what moms put out there, their kids just suck in, and that's what they become. So I did another show after that, which I felt a lot better about, and, I looked good at and everything. But after I was done with the shows, it kind of made me realize that aesthetics and my leanness and everything else had a whole new meaning to me. Basically, zero. So even though I'm sitting here preaching to you guys that it's great to get in shape and it's so nice to look good and fit, which it is, it makes you feel really, really good about yourself. The bigger message that I want my page to portray for you guys is that aside from everything else, above losing weight, above being successful in your career, one of the most important things you can do for yourself is find your own self-worth. I mean, you're not going to be able to succeed at anything until you find that. Until you know that you're good enough to be everything you want to be, nothing else really matters. I mean, I could sit here and inspire you to lose weight all day long, and even if you lost that weight, there's going to be that day where you sit there and you're in that rut, and you still don't feel good on the inside because you didn't take care of what you needed to take care of to begin with. So what I'm trying to say here is that although I do love my page being about fitness and inspiring you to be fit and healthy, I think one of the most important things on that whole journey and one of the most important things to staying true to that goal is to really reevaluate who you are as a person, reevaluate where you're at in life, see what you love about yourself, and see what you want to better about yourself. There's nothing wrong with wanting to better yourself as long as you're doing it from confidence instead of insecurity. Because the best thing somebody ever told me was, you're good enough. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you're going. Right now, in this very moment, you're good enough. And I know that sounds crazy to some of you, but it's 100% true. Because a fit body doesn't make you amazing. A good career doesn't make your life worthwhile. What makes your life worthwhile is the happiness you feel in your heart. So today, I just want you guys to know that you're all good enough and that step by step, piece by piece, you're going to get there eventually, no matter where you want to be. And if you're in that rut right now, now's the time to start digging yourself out, because you're never going to be able to grab onto somebody's hand to have them pull you out. You're the only one who can do it. So on that note, I just want to tell you guys all to have a great Sunday night, and I hope you guys know a little bit more about me.